5 years after, at this day, what is the mood? Of course, we understand that not every hope had been fulfilled, that there is a disappointment. But that was probably a couple years right after. But what is the mood of the activists? What is the mood of the people who lived through these 4 years? Is it really the same? Or is it's definitely the fight isn't over, but where are you heading? What thoughts you have?
Hello, Natalia. Thank you for calling. Now you're in Kiev and I'm in Tunis. Tomorrow it will be the 6th anniversary of our revolution. And I would like to remember that we call it here in Tunisia the revolution of freedom of dignity and not freedom of spring revolution or Jasmine revolution. Here it's not Syria, it's not Libya, it's not like Bahrain, it's really another process. We still struggling with an old regime. You know, in 2014 we had new elections, the second transparent and democratic election in Tunisia. And we started to have new democratic instance, like those who are related to justice and the constitutional court, of course. The situation is a little bit different from other Arab countries. The security is much more better than 2015. And this year we didn't have any attack. It was really calm, and the security became like stronger. People still, you asked me about the mood of people. People are like skeptical. What happened exactly in 2011? Is it really a revolution? Is it really a new change? Like, people are asking about their economical issues, and they don't see in the political reforms something really interesting for them and changing their own lives. So people aren't so happy these days for the birthday of the revolution, but activists, people who were involved in the revolution, people who were fighting for freedom of expression, for independence of justice, for administrative reform, against corruption, are continuing the struggle and having a lot of hope for new Tunisia, especially that we are like, you know, Tunisia is between Libya and Algeria. In Algeria, it's still calm, Bouteflika still alive. And in Libya, it's a big issue. There is a lot of, there is Fajr Libya, a lot of rebels, Islamists, Daesh, like it's a big mess in our neighbor in Libya. So we are in bad situation, like with our neighbor, like geostrategical field, but we still continuing the revolution, and the revolution didn't end.
Lilya, you know, I've been talking to you like 2 years after the revolution, 3 years after the revolution, exactly on the stage the Ukraine is currently. And there is this moment, and I remember that well, when people were really disappointed and thought like it's all in vain, you know, the Islamists are there or the new regime is coming. And, you know, there was also the challenging moment for for Egypt, for instance. So a lot of people say that, you know, in Egypt situation is probably worse than it was before. But to some extent, Tunisia succeed. And, you know, where it was, how would you explain that? Where was this moment when you still somehow managed to save this mood of fighting, still fighting, or like just understanding that it's all in vain, you can't change, the old regime is there?
Why isn't like Egypt? It's a big question. Actually, in Egypt, it wasn't really, I told you, like it's the army was all the time having the power in Egypt. It wasn't the case in Tunisia. In Tunisia, the regime changed. New people are governing now. Yes, it's true that we have old people from the old regime, like politicians, but there is a lot of people from the opposition now who's taken power. The pyramid of the institution changed. But in Egypt, it's not the same at all. The army, even with Morsi, was the same. They didn't change. They were having, they had like the economical power, the mediatic power. They lead everybody. And that's why I think that the opposition in Egypt didn't succeed. But here, the opposition is still working everywhere, militant, civil society, really involved. And we know that when we look to the Arab world and we see what's happening there, we say like, we have to be careful. We have to be careful and really to be like to do our work as good as it's possible. And even when we had like in 2014 the new elections, Monsef Marzouki, the former president, had like issue about the number if he succeed, if he like. He became like a new president or Beji Qasebsi, and he said, no, we will respect the vote of people, even if there is like things not really clear, but we will show to the people and show to the world that we can make to change the power and give the power to another people to continue the process and to respect the rules of the state. And this is very important.
There is another discourse, especially if you speak about the geopolitics, that, you know, it's still chaotic. There is the issue of security. You mentioned there is less terrorist attacks, but still there are a lot of people, you know, there are the fighters coming to ISIS from Tunisia, also, you know, like the tourists from probably France, which was always the issue, were coming to Tunisia, and that would be also the claim that it's less unstable. How you do also describe that of course there is less stability, but what would be your answer on this understanding of not probably the whole Arab world, but in particularly Tunisia, with the stability, how it looked from outside, and instability, how it looks, you know, from outside that time and today?
Like I can like start by a joke that we made about what's happening. Like every time in Paris or in Berlin or anywhere in Europe something happened, we say like, please God, like I hope that he's not Tunisian. And the last time, it's sad. And like it was a Tunisian guy who did the massacre. So really, like it's really tragic. It's a big tragedy. We are trying to laugh to forget this big drama and how the old regime created those monsters. Those people, this new generation, all of them are between 18 and 35 years old. This is very important if we see like the kind of profile of those kind of terrorists. Recently, yes, Berlin, like Germany, asked the Tunisian state to take its responsibility for people who asked asylum in Germany and who were refused. And we had a demonstration here in Tunisia of few people saying we refuse the return of terrorists. And this is insane, of course. We have to take our responsibility and to receive those people who were seeking democracy or trying to destroy this kind of democratic world that they don't understand. We are new age. We are new kind of politics, and we have to face those kind of problems without fear. This is the most important thing.
And Lilya, yes, for the end, you've been to Ukraine, you've talked to investigative journalists here, so we lived through some similarities. The situation is probably different, but at these days, what would be your message? Tunisian revolution happened, the revolution of dignity in Tunisia happened, we would say some years before the Ukrainian, but what would be your message at this stage when you are already greeting the 5 years of your revolution of dignity?
I didn't hear.
I mean, like, what would be your message to probably the Ukrainians? You've been here to Ukraine, you've talked to the people here. Tunisia is a bit ahead in timing, like just chronologically, with your revolution of dignity. But what would be your final message at this date to the Ukrainians who probably also in the stage of despair after 3 years of our own revolution of dignity?
If I talk to Ukrainian, I will talk directly to journalists and to activists and militants for human rights. And I will tell them, really, don't be bothered by all what the big media say, that our problem is terrorism. Our real problem is the problem of healthcare. Our problem is economical. Our problems are corruption. And this is the main problems, and we have to face them. We have to be focused on our real problem and to do our best in our work to make our country better. And to you, Ukrainian people, like us, Tunisian people, you have to focus and to know what is your real problem. Like, how can I change it really? And to not be bothered by interference and many other things. Our real problems are really corruption and healthcare. This is the two main problems that we have in common in the whole world. And even like you saw what happened in USA now with Trump. And we are all connected, and we have all the same target against corruption and against poverty and problem of healthcare.
Thank you a lot, and all the best from Ukraine.